After building the jet sword and the switch axe from the Monster Hunter universe, I decided to take a poll, ask you guys what you wanted to see next. And the results were overwhelmingly clear as to what I should build next. So anyways, I decided to build a flamethrower for my cat. As if one pyro in the family wasn't enough already. This video was brought to you by PCBWay. More on that later. But you're probably wondering, flamethrowers? Cats? How did I get here? I mean, same actually. For that, we gotta go back a bit for my quest to make a safe, repeatable, fiery explosion. Normally those things don't go together. You see though, I'm no stranger to fire on this channel. I mean, really not a stranger to fire. But what I wanted to achieve this time was different. It was a one-time, extremely long, fiery explosion. Sort of like this. After all, I need to penetrate the entire monster with my huge fiery explosion. Really? I could have worded that better. Anyways, for this, I need to move away from liquid-based fire ignition systems to something a little safer. The main reason being I'm not trying to make a continuous long flame or anything, kind of like a flamethrower. And because the primary function of a flamethrower is to set something way the f over there on fire, and I'm not trying to do that for once. So that led me down another path, using compressed air and flour. You see, flour isn't very flammable on its own, like this. But when you disperse the flour evenly into the air and add a flame, does something interesting. It becomes an inferno for a split second. Bigger too?
It's like I'm making bread in my mouth.
And we could use this to our advantage. So I'm going to develop a system that is a compressed air reservoir with somewhere to load all the flour so that I can shoot out with a fire source at the end to make a big explosion. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go test it out. First component is the fire component. All you do is take your propane, you attach it here. This is what's gonna light the flour on fire. It's just a pilot light, really. Probably enough fire. And then the second component. So we just load some flour in here. And we just dump it in a little bit. All the flour we need. We can get this back up. And now that that's good, and this valve right here is closed, we're going to go over here and we're going to pressurize the tank. And all I'm going to do is get my air hose right into this straighter valve right here. There we go. You see the pressure's rising. I think we'll stop there. Then we go back. 3, 2, 1. That certainly dusted everything in here, but you get the idea. With the pilot light, this should make a pretty big explosion. Let's go try this outside. That was fun. Alright, so it turns out that I didn't glue this, I didn't glue this so that I could reload the powder, but because of that, the pressure from this air cannon here, it's a lot of air, and that air cannon, when it released, it just launched the nozzle, and then it hit this into the complete open position, which that's pretty bad. So I should make it so that this guy can't just, depart from the rest of the thing with the flame. I'll have to review the footage to see if that was a good explosion, but it kind of all exploded, which, not ideal. So yeah, I'm gonna fix that now. And now that everything's glued, let's set it up to fire again. I also built a stand for it for good reasons. Yo, I'm not even joking right now. It smells like fresh baked bread out here. That's a neat side effect. I mean, I'm making explosions, but not like in Monster Hunter yet. They're more like poof, rather than like boom. You get what I'm saying? So, as usual, I started looking at other options, and I came across a device that I didn't really think about. T-shirt cannons. Online options were a little bit pricey, so I ended up building my own. Okay, so here's our new t-shirt cannon design. You'll notice a little valve back here instead of at the front. That's on purpose. Let's test it out. Turn. Huh. That's weird. Let's try one more time. Alright, well, this one didn't really work, so I'm gonna spend some time thinking about this and try building another one, maybe? I don't know. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Alright, so like 3 weeks later, and I really can't believe it took this long to get one working. I ended up watching a ton of tutorials and making them so many different ways, like so many. I got 4 sitting here. I'm gonna give you the lowdown on what I learned because it was surprisingly a lot. Honestly, the best video out there came from the King of Random. You can check that video out. The main issue with this tutorial was the sealing mechanism, which was a silicone puck that they called the Proto Puck. This was made with off-the-shelf components from your local hardware store and your grocery store, so it was very DIY accessible. However, once you got it up to 60 PSI, it would just blow a hole right through the middle of it, which, you know, wasn't good for sealing. So what I did was I opted for a 2-part silicone. This made a really tough silicone puck, but when I went to try it out, it just wouldn't fire. And through some debugging, I found out that the silicone puck was just too good. Let me explain. The seal by the silicone puck prevented air from traveling around the sides to get into the storage reservoir on the right here. But if you increase the pressure to 60 PSI, it started to seep into the main reservoir. And for the cannon to function, you need equal pressure in the reservoir and the fill side. Because when you release all of the air from the fill side, the pressure from the reservoir side rams the puck back and it escapes through the main nozzle. Oh, and lubing up the puck also seemed to help a bit. All these minor changes made it way more robust and a much more repeatable system. Alright, so let's fire it again just to make sure it works before continuing on. Okay. This is about 70 PSI. See how this goes. Woo. Pretty good. Alright, this is gonna make a mess. Oh, oh, that's cool. It's such a little guy too. Don't tell my wife. That was freaking awesome. T-shirt cannon fireballs. Check. But it doesn't really look like what I was going for from the Monster Hunter universe. So let's add a tube to act as a barrel and try it out. Three, two, one. Anything come out? Nothing in there. Where did it go? Was there just not enough? Oh, no. Just didn't come out. Alright, that's pretty full that time. This time. Maybe it's just not a tight enough seal. Alright, let's try again. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, maybe not a tight enough seal. 65 PSI. 3, 2, 1.
Flower is certainly getting down there. Let's see, it almost made its way out. Look at that, so close, right there. Trail of dust.
Just try higher pressure, I don't know. Okay, this is 80 psi approximately. 3, 2, 1, go. Woo! Alright, 80 worked. 80 worked. There is flour everywhere. I'll clean that up later. Should probably work. Look at all that flour. Jeez. Alright, let's test it with some fire. Okay, we got the cannon back here, all loaded up. It's got flour in it. We're gonna go to 80 psi and see what happens. 2, 1. As it turns out, there was like a lot of flour in here. Like a lot. So, probably had some issue with that. So we're gonna retry. Less flour. Alright, we're gonna do 80 psi, less flour this time. Fire. 3, 2, 1. Not bad. Not bad. Not what we were getting before, but you know, there is a very long pipe, so I don't know. Okay, so here we are. A couple months into this project, and things aren't going the way I expected. I've literally put together, I think, a dozen prototypes, and like, there's just pieces of them everywhere in here. Like, I started with an air cannon style to more of a t-shirt cannon and had some sealing issues, so this one was a total wash. And then I finally got one working, and when I put it together with the long barrel, which is behind me here, it didn't have enough pressure to actually launch everything into free space to create a big fireball like I wanted. And there's a lot going on here that isn't very well documented on the internet. First of all, pressurizing the flour or the cornstarch is what you need to do in order to get it to go far. So that's kind of the first issue I'm dealing with. And the second is just like the length of the tube, because the gun lance, of course, has a very long tube, and the bullet casing is kind of at the one side of the tube rather than, you know, closer to the front mount as depicted in the game. So with all that said and done, I have to redesign everything again. Like, this concept behind me just worked, which is just a pressurized chamber that has the flour sitting on a level and it launches it all out. But it's just not, it just changes everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get so far and it just changes everything, because this design with the t-shirt cannon with this flange here used these bullets, and it was going to push the flour out of the bullet into the longer tube, and it was so cool. It was a great idea, and it's like, oh, it all came together. And then when it didn't work, it was like, oh, I gotta change something. So now I'm doing this again, and it's like, how do these things work in context of that if I have to pressurize the gas and everything? So it's, I don't know, it's pretty disheartening at this point. I have some ideas, but oh, this project, my God, like, I kind of want to quit. I've thought about it a few times, and it's like a lot of work goes into these things, and you know, with everything I want to do, it's hard working on something so hard for 3 months and then potentially not getting the payoff in terms of views or anything. So I'm doing this one for myself, and I hope you guys enjoy what I've created here, because this was a long time to make. But honestly, I have a lot of designing ahead of me. I have to go rethink the whole thing again and test the whole thing again. So see you on the other side, I guess. So, as you might have guessed at this point, I really wanted to make a gun lance. But I ended up losing a lot of steam on the project when I had to go from my awesome t-shirt cannon design to literally just compressed air again. Unfortunately, like, at this point, I was just really at my wit's end, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't really want to work on this project anymore, because it was like I was starting from the ground up. yet again. But I ended up looking at my cat and getting a brilliant idea. Lindsay, come back, no. Come back. If I can't make the gun lance, then I could make the Wrath from Above. This is a little air balloon thing that your Palico operates in Monster Hunter Wilds that shoots large streams of fire, kind of like the gun lance. So all that effort didn't go to waste. And all those t-shirt cannons didn't go to waste. Just a few of them. And while I still want to tackle the gun lance in the future, I've learned so much about compressed air and aerodynamics and kind of just stuff in the way of all of that air that I can apply it to that video when the time comes. See, not everything in life is going to go your way. You just have to roll with the punches and make the best of a situation. And I'm glad I did because I'm really excited for what I created here. So all that's left to do is 3D print it out, decorate it, and convince my cat to sit in it and shoot fireballs. One of these is going to be harder than the others, I think. And like usual, I'm 3D printing the bulk of this project. If you're like me and you love 3D printing but don't necessarily want a printer or have the space for it, may I suggest something? PCBWay. Yeah, PCBWay does 3D printing, and with a ton of options too, if you need something a little bit different. Let's check it out together. Oh yeah, and I should mention that PCBWay also does CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, and of course, PCB fabrication. See, you can upload your STL here, and look at all the different materials you have to choose from. There's even some fun ones like TPU. Besides that, with 3D printing, you actually have a ton of other options too that really surprised me, like threaded inserts, or silk screening, or laser engraving. Like, this is all really cool stuff. PCBWay is also running a whole bunch of specials for the month of September, so go check my link out in the description below to start your order with PCBWay today. And now, back to the build. My cat only appreciates the finer things in life, so I had to make sure it was a beautiful Wrath from Above that I built for him. I used a soldering iron to make the wood grain effect, and it worked pretty well. And then some good old paper mache for the balloon. And then I needed some creative problem solving for the ropes that held up the balloon. I did an experiment with some UV resin on some twine, and the results actually surprised me. It was pretty rigid. So I applied that to the rest of the ropes, and it turned out pretty well. And it did support the balloon. I highly recommend resiners for any UV curable resin. Link in the description below. Okay, so I think I can trick my cat into operating the Wrath from Above. I've turned it into a cat bed and laced it with cat drugs. And now we wait. Got him. I mean, he doesn't really fit though. But this is actually accurate to the game, because when your Palico goes in the Wrath from Above, he becomes a disembodied floating cat head. I think I've made my point. I'm not going to do that to my cat, no. So let's let Mr. Hans shoot this thing then. He's pretty eager. I started with a simple cannonball test, thinking everything would go fine. And then this happened. So I decided to try again. Okay, let's put this a little bit closer to the front. And it happened again. And again. Alright, let's try some wadding. Wadding. And yet again. Even with flour. Better, but not good. Okay, so what I'm looking at is after leaving the cannon alone for a while and repressurizing it at a very high PSI, it's actually cutting into the inner ring, so that 2-inch tube is physically cutting it, and you can kind of see those outlines in the imaging I've provided here. That's bad, obviously, so what I'm going to do is silicone pour onto it, and hopefully it just seals all of those protrusions and it makes a new seal with the inner 2-inch ring again, so that it can actually blow back and everything's good. You can see it's bubbling. It's good. Looks pretty level. Hail Mary! I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or I won't. Who knows? Alright, here goes nothing. Next day. Seems to be inflating well, that's good. Put that in. That worked, but the taser was short. Is it always something? Oh, okay. That should be a quick fix. Hopefully it didn't burn out the taser module. Let's take it outside. I'll fix this off camera. Looks like there's a seal. Oh well. Try again. I think the silicone separated from each other.
See that? It's like completely out, but there's a piece behind it.
Okay, so we're gonna jam it back in, and then we're just gonna do another silicone pour. You know what? Maybe I'll just pull this other one out. Let's do that, actually. There it is. You can see that it did go into the other puck a little bit. Damn, that sucks. That's not even a small puck. I guess I just doubled it. The benefit here is maybe the last time the puck I poured in there pulled out all the grease on the other one, so maybe it will adhere better. I don't know. I'm also pouring more, so I've doubled the recipe approximately. So we'll see. In Hail Mary fashion, we're just gonna send it. Let's go! Oh, okay. That made me nervous. Another one. Another one. It rejects its balloon. Fire is cool, but can it shoot cannonballs? Alright. Load the cannonball. All the way down. Pressurize the tank. Fire the cannonball. Cute. So if at first, or second, or third, or 20th for that matter, you don't succeed, try again, or pivot to something more reasonable. I have quite the number of Monster Hunter weapons accumulating in my house at this point. So let me know in the comments what Monster Hunter weapon you want to see next. Because I might just do it. I might not. But I might do it. You never know. So as always, I've been your captain, and I hope you enjoyed your journey. Fire is beginning.